Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's December 24th, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, who's taking a break from singing Christmas carols on the corner by Publix in South Miami.
Wow.
And we're talking about the news of the day. And Matt, thank you for taking a break and joining us once again on Good Morning CaneSport. And it's Christmas, almost Christmas Eve. And the weirdest thing in the world, the Miami Hurricanes really have no clue whether they're going to go play in their bowl game next week. They were supposed to travel here in a couple days. That's been postponed. If they do go, it'll be later next week. The team is scattering for Christmas. Kids are going home for Christmas. And somebody said to me today, what do they think that's going to mean for COVID? You know, all these kids going home and being with family and everything. And, you know, that might only accentuate the spread of COVID on the UM football team. So as we sit here today, it's really kind of bizarre because, like I said, they really, Matt, have no clue whether they're going to play in this bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've got family in here for the holidays. You know, my brother had a small exposure. My other kids have been in college. Like, one of them was at a party for the national championship volleyball team at his school game.
I can't see your couch. Are you still sleeping on that couch behind you?
I am, because until my wife gets another, like, she needs to have all negative everythings, and like it still hasn't happened. So I'm still just being ultra cautious. You know, I mean, hopefully tomorrow will be the day, but yeah, it drags on. It's just like, you know, my parents are going to be coming down soon. You don't want to expose your parents to it. Like, this is exactly what Miami Hurricane players are faced with. Like, for the fans who say it's not going to affect the kids at all, of course it's not going to affect the kids. I'm not worried about my kids. I'm not even worried about myself. I'm worried about my parents coming down. If they stay in the house with my kids and my kids are around their friends, and, you know, you don't know who you might run into and get it. And old people are susceptible. I mean, probably even some people who don't believe COVID exists would agree that, like, old people are susceptible to disease in general, right? So, like, you know, it's a difficult situation. Now, these college kids are going home to their families, and they're going to, you know, get back together, and I guess they'll see if there's no COVID on the team anymore. I guess they'll go travel. I don't know, but
I guess they'll test everybody Monday and see where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do. And then, you know, again, the problem is the preparation has been lacking. You don't want kids competing at that level of a stage in that kind of a game when they're not physically and mentally prepared. It's just not good for their bodies or their souls. It's not good for my body or soul either. Well, it's not good for my soul to watch that sort of thing either.
Hey, I'm only worried about one thing with you. Didn't mean to interrupt, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're still sleeping on those pillows on that couch on New Year's Eve,
no, I hope not.
Then you know you got a problem. Christmas Eve, you could probably deal with.
I mean, look, I'm going stone crab. I don't care. I'm going stone crabbing Christmas morning.
Yeah.
And, like, life's going to be back to normal once I'm on that crab boat, period. You know, like, that's it. Like, when you're out crabbing, everything else disappears. You know, everything. There's no Miami Hurricane problems with COVID. There's no Miami Hurricane problems with going to the bowl game and playing. The whole Miami program's getting fixed by Mario Cristobal. It all happens when you get stone crabs on your plate and a little side of mustard sauce, which I create from Dijon mustard and mayonnaise in a 3-to-1 ratio, very carefully spooned out onto my plate.
Dijon mustard and mayonnaise? That's what my wife does when she makes me tuna. She uses exactly the same thing. Dijon mustard and mayonnaise. It's awesome.
Not bad. And then you could you could splash some Worcester sauce in there. And there's something else that's Old Bay. My friend who I go with, he uses Old Bay seasoning in there too. He uses yellow mustard, mayo, and Old Bay seasoning. I find Dijon and mayo does just fine, you know. But
well, you'll be eating stone crabs, and Miami will be trying to figure out if it's going to a bowl game. And I don't know when the administration thinks it has to figure this out. I don't know if it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So we'll just see what happens.
I mean, they have to travel. I think, what is the rule? They have to be there 2 days in advance, I think?
2 days in advance, yeah.
So I guess that's the drop dead date would be the 29th. So I guess on Monday, they'll see how many positives they have. I mean, look, they can play if they want to. They're going to have 65 available players out of the 105 in their roster. The question is, have these kids been adequately prepared to actually play in a physical football game by doing just walkthroughs for 2 weeks? I don't know the answer to that. Someone with a higher, Jess Simpson, I guess, will have to make the final decision if it's worth it.
I wonder how badly they want to play. We don't know. We haven't had a chance.
Look, I'm sure
we haven't talked to anybody. We can't
play.
Like,
the kids always want to play. It's a fun thing to do. There's not a player on the team who say, "Oh, I don't want to go to play in a bowl game." Like, that's fun. They get
you really believe
gifts.
That?
They go on spending sprees usually, but
you believe that really? It's a fun thing to do to go to El Paso, Texas, to play in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl against Washington State.
If I was back in college and you get to go on a road trip like that, oh hell yeah, of course. Right. They got the Hurricane Honeys are allowed out in El Paso. You can't have them in Miami. El Paso, they don't care.
Listen,
Texas wants to secede, so Texas can do whatever the hell it wants. They could have Hurricane Honeys. I won't share any other terminologies that probably aren't politically correct, but they can have all that stuff in Texas. It doesn't matter.
Listen, I'm a big fan of the Hurricane Honeys, but I don't think that they're showing up in El Paso, Texas. I'm sorry, and we'll give our ladies a little shout out here. They made their debut on yesterday's show, the Hurricane Honeys of yesteryear. But I don't think they're showing up in El Paso. I really don't. All right, so that's a lingering issue. COVID, Miami Hurricanes football team. I think we'll know more Monday. I'm guessing probably not much more before then. But the good thing is we don't come back at you again with Good Morning CaneSport till Monday. So maybe by Monday morning, we'll have a little bit more as to what exactly is going on with Miami traveling to El Paso, Texas. All right. In the meantime, some good site today. We'll talk about it real quick here for you. I know you guys are probably a little busy today with your families and activities and things like that. So we're not going to get too long-winded here. But yesterday we brought you the way too early offensive depth chart. Today we bring you the way too early defensive depth, just to continue to get you guys primed up for year one of Mario Cristobal in 2022. So you can take a look at that. And then we've got several interesting recruiting stories. And Matt, I'm going to start with one that came up yesterday, a four-star defensive tackle from Georgia by the name of Christian Miller. He's also got offers from USC, Ohio State that people want and people believe is a pretty good player. Cristobal's on him now. Apparently going to visit Miami in January. Your thoughts just on the addition of Christian Miller as a Miami recruit?
Yeah, it's interesting because, Mario Cristobal recruited him to Oregon, certainly knew who he was, certainly knew he was waiting until February, but didn't offer him until now. And, like Jason Jones is expected to announce today, and we had some very good indications that Jason was going to be picking Miami. But, this is the sort of thing that makes you think like, maybe something happened recently. Because this was a few days ago we had heard Jason was coming to Miami. So, sometimes when this happens out of the blue, where Mario could have been recruiting this guy from the first minute, and now Jason, of course, is an older player, and you sort of need that. But there's, it's always interesting when a coach does this, where he knows the guy's out there and he doesn't really recruit him until 2.5, 3 weeks after he gets the job, even though he'd offered him at Oregon. Now the kid's totally receptive to it. Christian's going to visit, see how he likes it, and go from there. The kid says, I talked to him. He says he doesn't have any favorites. He was actually pretty excited to be talking to a Miami site. I don't know if that's good or bad. He was literally on the other phone. Like, he answers the phone, and I've never talked to the guy in my life. And I started saying, hi, is this Kristen? Yeah. I said, oh, it's Matt Shodell at CaneSport. He cuts me off. He says, hold on, Matt. And then obviously he had taken my call from another call, and then he switched to the other line for like 30 seconds and comes back. He's like, hey, how you doing? Like, he's very excited to talk to me, which I'd like to say every kid's like that, but that's not the case. Some kids are a little more subdued. Not that they don't want to talk, but they're more subdued. We always ask the kid, do you have a couple minutes to talk? We don't force them to talk to us, which I don't think you can do anyway. It wouldn't be a very good interview. But the point is, the kid was excited to talk to a Miami site. Maybe that means he's interested in Miami a little bit more than the average Bear. I don't know. But he is visiting in January, going to see how that goes. He says Mario said how much they need him. He knew Mario from Oregon, obviously, but hadn't talked to him yet at Miami. This was his first time he's talked to him at Miami. So, we'll find out later today if this was maybe because of Jason Jones and they need another defensive tackle all of a sudden. Like, I think Miami's been optimistic they were going to get Jason, and now to have an offer like this all of a sudden late yesterday, it's like, and obviously I haven't reached out to any sources at Miami on a Friday night right before Christmas, but, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. I know as a few days ago, they felt very good about Jason Jones.
All right, a couple other recruiting stories today on offensive linemen. Again, that guy, Alex Mirabal, is on a tear along with Mario. They're offering the best offensive lineman in the country now in the 2023 class. And we've got a couple stories this morning. A guard out of Douglasville, Georgia, by the name of Madden Sanker, and then a offensive tackle from Arlington, Texas, by the name of Isaiah Robinson. So a couple really good 2023 offensive linemen entering the mix.
And not to interrupt. Not to interrupt. I don't ask.
Why would you do that? Go ahead.
I never listen. I never. The only reason I interrupt you is you never asked me to talk about anything that's actually.
Well, if I asked you to talk about every single story,
you try to move on to some other subject.
Some people have time for that. Some don't. It is Christmas Eve day. People are busy. Okay, we're doing our duty here. We're doing the show. We're talking about the news of the day, but I'm not looking for it to be 30 minutes.
Okay, well, this is not important. It's just you mentioned it, so I was going to add a little tidbit, but it's not important.
Since you cut me off, go ahead. I was getting ready to wrap.
Right, you're just moving along. It's been
the producer was in my ear saying, "Okay, Gary, it's time to go. It's Christmas Eve. People are busy." But go ahead.
Who's your producer? Your wife? I mean, I don't even understand what you're talking about. So all I got a producer
in my ear. Trust me, all TV people do. The producer's always in the ear, telling them what to do.
Most people would say that's schizophrenia, but I mean, if you want to call it a producer, whatever. You're hearing voices. I'm a little concerned about that. Not to belittle people who have mental illnesses, but you shouldn't be hearing voices.
No, do not. Do that. Because there are a lot of people watching that do have mental illnesses,
right?
And there's certainly a lot of people on our message boards at CaneSport.com that have
no.
And no, you cannot offend people with mental illnesses on this show.
You just said people on our message board have mental illness?
I said some.
And you're thinking it didn't offend anybody?
I can think of a couple.
Who do you think didn't offend?
I'm not calling out names.
But I think people on the message would already know who you're referring to.
I can think of a couple. There's definitely a couple.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, now it makes sense that I should tell this story because I said to Madden Sanker, okay, I've never heard of a kid named Madden. I've heard of a guy named Madden, John Madden. But I've never heard of a first name Madden, so I thought there was a really cool story. I couldn't wait to hear this kid's story. So at the very end of our interview, I'm like, listen, I got to know, is Madden a nickname or is that your given name? And how'd you get the name? I figured it was some long story, his parents were watching Monday Night Football. What was John Madden on back then? I don't even know what he broadcast. He was a coach way back when. I figured there was some story involving John Madden, and they loved John Madden or something happened with John Madden. And the kid's like, my parents gave me the name and there's no reason for it. That's just my name. It's my given name. There's no reason. I'm like, what do you ask as a follow-up to that? Are you sure? Can you ask your parents again? Because I don't think that's just a regular name that they just said, we're going to give you the name Madden. And I'm sure everyone will just call him Mad for short. And that's okay. Who cares if my son's named Mad for short?
I think they meant to name him Matt.
Listen, Madden Sanker, if you're watching the show,
a spelling error.
No, if you're watching the show, Madden Sanker, there's a crazy story behind your name, and your parents are scared to tell you the true story. Because trust me, no kid is getting named Madden with the possibility of having their name shortened, as it definitely would be, to Mad. There's just no way. No parents doing that unless there's some crazy story that they refuse to tell you. So find out the story, Madden. Let me know next time we talk. Because I want to know.
So we can bring that one to Good Morning CaneSport.
Yeah, I need to know the story. That's everyone wants to know now.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than Madison. You call the girl's name Madison Maddie.
M-A-D-D-E-N.
Hey, Mad, you want to go have a beer? That kind of thing. But Madden for a guy.
I mean, his friends are like, you mad. Nobody wants that name. If that was my name, I don't know what his middle name is, but it must be awful. It must be Madden Smelly Sanker or something like that, because there's no way I'd stick with that first name if that's my first name. I'd be like, I'm going with the middle name, unless the middle name's that bad. And I should have asked him in retrospect his middle name because it's got to be just flat awful. I didn't ask him that. Next time I talk to him, I promise anybody who's actually watched this far in the show, which I hope nobody's watching anymore at this point. But if you're still that one person watching, I'm going to ask him his middle name next time. I'm not going to ask him why. I'm just going to ask him his middle name, and then I'll report back to you guys on what his middle name is. I guarantee it's an awful middle name.
If he does come to Miami, there's some great NIL possibilities there. He could be known as the Madman. He can have a T-shirt line. I mean, there's some pretty good possibilities for Madden Sanker in the NIL game once he picks the college of his choice. All right, Matt, that's going to do it for today. We want to wish everybody, in total seriousness, the greatest of Christmases. I hope you have a wonderful time with your families. I hope you get all the presents you want. I hope that those presents include a subscription to CaneSport.com so that we could, stay around for a while. And soon it'll be New Year's, and we'll be in 2022. And 2022 is going to be a big year for the Miami Hurricanes, and 2022 is going to be a big year for CaneSport. You just watch. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you so much for watching today on Good Morning CaneSport. Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you Monday morning, everybody.